Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Will you take a roll call, please?
Sure. Grant.
Here.
Dumont.
Here.
Jankowski.
Here.
Sparks.
Here.
Sinkwich.
Here.
Jennings.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
Snyder.
Here.
Okay. Ryan had provided. I'd like to make a motion to excuse any absentees. That being Ryan.
Support. Second.
Thank you. Next item. Any agenda additions? Anyone? One thing I would like to add is Ryan and I had spoken. There was a point he wanted to be brought up regarding a newer special assessment district for the sewer. So perhaps, I don't know if you have any information on that, Paul, that you might be able to share?
Yeah.
But, okay, so could I make a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Where are we going to put that?
We'll put that at the end, H.
Okay.
So motion to approve? Support. Second?
Second. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, hopefully everyone had a chance to review last month's minutes that Paige sent out. So are there any questions regarding that? Any comments? If not, I'd motion to approve. Support.
Support. Second.
Okay, great. Okay, moving right along. You guys are making this easy. By the way, this is the only second time I've had to do this, so I'm trying to, build my skill set up here.
You really improved since the...
I have, right?
Oh, yeah.
At least I'm going in the
You've
right
been
order.
practicing at home, huh? With the kids, got this
That's right.
big mirror.
And the pets, the dog and the cat sit and listen to me. They're tired of it. First of all, I would like to say thank you to both Melissa and Jim for joining. I know I wasn't here last month, but it's a pleasure to have you both on the board, so thank you for that. I saw your bios, and they were impressive, and I'm hopeful that you will enjoy the contributions that you'll be able to make to the group.
Thank you.
Okay, call to the public. Anyone? I'm not sure. I know you guys aren't here for you're here for a special presentation. In the back, are you public from the?
She's that's Janice. She's with me.
David, he's not able to drive right now because of the meeting.
Oh, okay. All right. Any other complaints that you have? Comments? Good.
Time to stand up.
Okay, then just note that there are no calls to the public. Thank you. So regarding new business, a couple months ago, I had spoken with Paul via email, I guess, and back in, I guess it was October of last year, Paul gave us the annual lake quality report, and there were a couple things that he had mentioned that we might be able to do to enhance the quality of the lake. And Paul, you'll have to excuse me. Does everyone know the difference between the various states of the trophic levels of the lake, the oligotrophic, the mesotrophic, and the eutrophic? Are you familiar with that at all?
Not those terms.
Well, just briefly, and I don't know, Paul, if you want to say it, but, the oligotrophic, it has to do with a level of, I think, phosphorus, chlorophyll, and
basically the nutrient and production of biological life or
yes,
the potential for production.
correct. And right now and we have been trending in what is known as the eutrophic state, correct?
Yep.
But we've had some blips up into the mesotrophic as well, which is...
Oscillated a little bit, but if you look at it as a whole, it's been trending up a little bit. So,
Paul, you might need to go to the microphone.
Yeah,
sorry,
sorry.
just since we're recording it.
Yep, no
Sorry.
problem. So what we're talking about is the classification of lakes. As Rob mentioned, there's 3 basic classifications of lakes. Oligotrophic is the least productive. Generally, they're deep and clear, don't have a lot of plants. Also, the fish grow slower. and the other end of the spectrum is eutrophic, which are lakes that generally are shallower, they support more plants, and the fish grow faster. And then there's, between those two extremes is mesotrophic. And I think the last numbers I looked at, I think it's like 48% of the lakes in Michigan using chlorophyll as the standard for characterizing lakes. About 48% are mesotrophic, and I think 20% roughly are ligotrophic, and then the other 30% are eutrophic.
Right.
Is that right? Could be wrong. It's roughly
Close
that.
enough for
Yeah.
us. I just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure that the members had an understanding.
So they just came out with the 2017 results for the National Lake Assessment, and they do 50 lakes in Michigan, so that's how they characterize that. But
Yeah. And then there's that Carlson Trophic State Index,
yeah,
which is
so
kind of the...
that's a 0 to 100 scale,
Yeah.
and the lower numbers are actually more towards the ligotrophic. So the higher numbers that you have, that means you're trending into the eutrophic range. So that's what we're talking about, the oscillating. It's in that trophic state index. So
Right. Thanks. I just
Yep.
wanted everybody to
Yep,
have
no
a
problem.
little background on that, but you can save the mic,
Okay.
Paul, because you're not done
All
yet.
right.
So at that discussion we had, the meeting we had back in October, Paul had gone over the report, and there were three options, as I recall, that we can do something to maintain, to ensure, or at least try to keep us in the eutrophic phase as
Yep.
best as possible.
Yep.
One was filter strips along the shoreline, the second was rain gardens to manage stormwater, and the third was to clean out the catch basins. So
Correct.
what I wanted to have Paul do to give us a little sense of which one of those are possible. Is there one that's low-hanging fruit? Are there some that
Yeah.
is not really possible? And
yeah,
what can we do
typically,
to...
I'm assuming the village maintains a stormwater system. So typically for most stormwater systems that have catch basins, so a catch basin is basically designed to, it usually collects water from the roads and sidewalks,
Yeah.
and it collects in a basin that collects the sediment and then releases the water that's where the sediment's been settled out into the water body. And it works effectively up until the point that it gets too full of sediment, and then the sediment either gets stirred up or to the point where it just completely gets plugged. So what's typically done is there's a maintenance schedule for cleaning them out, and they may be on a different schedule depending on where that's located and how much sediment it's exposed to. One of the things that increases sedimentation is development. So if there's new houses going in, even though silt fence is put in and all those other erosion control measures, typically there is still some that escapes and gets into the stormwater system. So
Do you happen to know, because I don't, maybe others do, do we have anything like that?
I don't know. Yeah, we'd have to check with the
Most
DPW.
most of the basins have, or I can't call them sewers, but
The
but
catch
the
basins.
catch basins,
Yeah.
there is a space to catch material. The only problem is they're small and they don't get serviced enough.
Okay.
Right. So the way they're cleaned out is typically by a vacuum truck. The county operates those, some of the townships have them. So it's a matter of scheduling, the clean outs for those. It's typically done once a year unless, it's a really bad catch basin, or if it's really small capacity, that you might have to do it more than that.
So it's done by the county, so it's not the DNR?
Well, the county will do the ones that are tied to the county roads. So, some of the major roads, probably they would handle that, but the more private or secondary roads would typically fall under the municipality.
One thing that made a big difference is something I pushed for when I was president, is to pave all the roads.
Yep, that helps, yep.
Because one, you're not using calcium chloride, we quit using oil, which I could never understand why, but it's, unfortunately, there's just sometimes debris on the road that gets washed down in the basin. And after, I would think that in the spring and late fall, those should all be cleaned out, more than once a year.
Yep.
Especially for
Yeah, a lot of
high water.
times they'll do them twice if they're, depending on the capacity.
Well, if they're not, I don't really know if they're cleaned out or not. I'd be happy to get once a year if we're doing it
Right, so-
no times a
Yeah,
year.
we probably have to get with the village and see if they have a schedule for that.
Yeah,
and then-
we don't have a machine to do it. A lot of times it was done by hand, but I think if we're serious about doing it, it's just like crack sealing. They used to try it themselves. Now they got a company that comes in and does it. It's not cheap, but it's done right.
Do we happen to know how many catch basins we have? Do you know that, Paul?
I don't know offhand.
A lot.
no.
A lot?
I would say quite a few.
Because I thought is it essentially where all the water comes into the lake from all
It's
your...
always at the low point.
Yeah, because
Right.
I think we have quite a bit, because I thought there was a map that had those.
Probably
numbers
is
or
a
not.
map
And if I
somewhere.
recall, there were a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
And the company that I had, we drilled some dry wells, like on that end of the village there, where there was no access to the lake. So we put in, 400 or 500 gallon concrete, like for a septic.
Yeah.
Put stone around it, and then the water goes in there. And those have to be cleaned out periodically.
Well, I'm sure we won't have the budget for that, but maybe we can take a look at, I'm not really sure who we would contact about this, but we can follow up to see, maybe the council, I don't know if someone will know where those are. Because I thought Ryan had a map he showed maybe last year sometime that had where all those catch basins were. And if I recall, there
And
were...
that was-
Well, there's a
one-
map.
Yeah, there is.
DPW has it.
Okay.
It's just getting around to doing it.
Okay. So it's a DPW that...
So this, somebody had suggested a third party coming in. That's very reasonable. If that's something that this board wants to look into, we should talk about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely talk about it.
Would that come out of the budget for this or the council, do you know? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it would be, anything like that comes out of our general fund.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then that would be something that we would recommend. So we would put together whatever idea this board decided, a plan, what you guys want to accomplish, and then we take that to council. So you guys package everything up, and that goes to council. And then we vote on it, and then it will either pass or not. And then what'll be voted along with it will be the funding for it. So we will come up with a way to fund it if it's necessary.
That's just like the fish stocking program.
Any other...
We put
right,
something
exactly.
together, you guys look at it, and
That's
then...
it. You guys, so that's a perfect example, because you guys selected the fish, you decided, not how much to spend, but if you recommended more, we would consider that as well. Or if you recommended less because you don't need that many fish for this year, and you want to do something next year, whatever that adjustment is, those ideas simply need to be attached to that idea and then brought up ideally with the recommendation from this board to council. All as one package.
Yeah, right. So I'm just trying to think who all we would have to contact to
You
figure
know,
out.
you don't have
nobody.
to- all
You
your-
put
all
it
your-
on here, it goes to the council to discuss it,
Yeah,
and
we'll take
decide
care
what
of
they
that.
want to
Even
do.
if we don't know the exact budget?
No.
None of that. You don't
Nobody
have to
knows
know
the
any of
budget.
that. So what I would say is, and something to think about, is bring a recommendation to council to simply look into what it would take for third-party
Clean out the basins.
bidding for the basins, if you want them bid, if you want it that far out, to where we would have pricing.
Okay. Okay, we can definitely do that. Yeah, I mean, first of all, because I'm guessing, I assume we don't do that now, right? To your...
It's done, but it's done on, it's rushing out on the road, it's not going down its plug. So they take the cover off, they get out there with their shovel and they clean it out. But it's just like,
Yeah, that's probably
he was saying that,
Yeah.
Past the
if you
point of-
leave
Yeah.
at half full, the next big rain comes is going to take half of that and put it out into the lake.
Yeah.
What we can do is find out what the DPW's current program is. So they may have a schedule, and our DPW has been here for decades in some cases. So they have a lot of year-over-year planning that they do, sometimes in their own way, because they've been doing it a long time. They're the only one that's done it. It's their way. So it's usually a matter of just asking Andy or...
Oh, is it Andy? Who
Yeah,
is-
Andy. Yeah, Andy leads DPW, and then
Remind me what his last name is, I'm sorry. I don't know.
Andy Stone.
Okay, right.
Yeah, and then Dave Gillum is their authority.
Okay. All right. Well, I can take that as an action.
And I
item to
agree.
follow
I
those
think the
guys.
smart thing to do is ask if we have a program.
Yeah, start
Is it
that.
active? And then go from there. Don't go in and say, we need a program.
Right.
Oh, we've been
No,
doing
no,
it
no.
every
We
year.
don't want
you know.
our DPW is great.
They're very
So,
sensitive.
The last thing they want is to people to think they know what they're doing to come in and tell them how to do their job.
Oh,
So
yeah.
come in, ask them for their expertise, and then they may say, well, hold on, we can handle this, or if not, then the other consideration is to look into third-party companies that would bid that as a contract.
Okay.
Yeah, you might want to also obviously check with the county on the county roads. I think you have a few that abut the lake and see what their schedule is.
Okay.
Not saying it'll be fruitful, but it'd probably be worth asking.
What year would you want it done?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's one, and Paul, in your estimation, is that one of the easier things to do of the
Yes,
three
yeah,
alternatives? or
where you
three
would get the
options?
most bang for your buck, correct? Because sediment, besides, so when lakes age, naturally, they get filled in
Yeah,
either by sediment or organic matter, which is typically leaf litter,
yeah,
and the plants that actually grow in the lake. So,
yeah.
so
Okay.
that would kind of slow that aging process down.
So I'm guessing the filter strips is not really a reasonable or realistic?
I mean, on a volunteer basis, I think it is. I don't think it's enforceable that, you know,
Yeah.
and that's what this document that I gave you as a handout kind of has, like, best management practices recommended for lakefront landowners.
Can you tell us what a filter strip is, where it goes?
So
and what it does?
basically, yeah, filter strip, and actually, not Jared, but Rick and I from my office went to a conference last week at MSU that, it was called the Shoreline and Shallows, and it was a bunch of different topics, but one of them, they had the guy from Eagle that basically oversees all the 301 permits, which are in the Lake Act, or in the Lake Improvement Act. And so anytime you get a seawall replaced, to get a permit for that, or if you're doing anything in the water, he's the guy that has some say in that. And what they've developed new standards for seawall replacement, and one of the requirements is that in order to put in a vertical seawall, you have to do one of, I think it's 4 different best management practices. You have to implement at least one of those, or else they're not going to give you the permit.
Oh,
And one of them is to reduce the length of the seawall and do the remaining in like rock or natural. And then one of the best managed practices is to have a filter strip. And I think it's like 15 feet wide. So basically, it's where you either plant deeper rooted grasses than just turf, or you can put landscaping ornamentals and things like that. They have a plant list that you can use, but that's what a filter strip
I see.
is.
So it's not like a man-made thing, it's just putting natural...
Well, it's cultivated by man, but yeah, it's
Where are they typically placed?
along the shoreline, so it doesn't have to be the entire, like say you got 100 foot of frontage, it doesn't have to be the entire frontage. I think it has to be like at least 50%. They do have rules in there, and I'm just kind of throwing that out. But
So if someone on the lake were to change it or modify or put a new seawall, they're required now to actually have a certain percentage of that
Yes, so
with-
there's different options that they have, but this, what the gentleman that regulates those and sees all those permits, he says, this has only been in place since 2021, so it's fairly recent. But he's saying almost half of them are doing the filter strip, because that's the easiest out of the best management practices.
Is this picture on page 3, is this an example of a filter strip?
Well, that's called a bioengineered shoreline.
Okay.
So it could be similar to that, but this actually is going right down to the water's edge. But if you look at on page 2, that kind of overhead view, and the one on the top there, that area down by the shoreline that would be considered a filter strip.
Okay.
And the lower one obviously doesn't have a filter strip, it's
Yeah.
just turf grass down to the
I
shoreline.
think the likelihood of getting the riparians to do that is probably fairly low.
Right, I agree.
But if they do, if any of us do, upgrade our seawalls, then we're required to actually put in a portion.
Right.
And what's the part, you said 50%, is it that
I
much?
don't, that's just a number I threw out, it's a certain percentage.
Because I thought I had seen in some lake magazine that it was 25% that it has to be. I don't know, again.
It could be,
you know,
yeah, it could be.
So people would not get a permit unless they were agreed to do
Right,
this?
so in order to get a permit to replace an existing seawall or to put a new one in, that's what the state is requiring now.
Wow, okay.
So,
Okay, well, that said, I don't think that's really an option unless people are redoing it or going to replace their seawalls. So then, the second one are rain gardens to manage
Yep.
stormwater. And what?
So rain garden is basically a man-made structure to catch rainwater off your roof or drainage off your driveway, and it's like another name for it is like a bioswale, where it's like a low area that catches. It's kind of like a stormwater detention pond, but it's on a smaller scale, and it has vegetation in there that takes up a lot of the nutrients before it gets discharged. So it slows the water down, and it also has uptake abilities from the plants that you plant there.
So in your estimation, is that something that's even, I mean, that's something that we couldn't mandate, obviously, but is that just
Right.
an option?
Some townships are starting to mandate it in their stormwater approvals and stormwater system, but it's usually for newer subdivisions that are going in.
Okay.
But, yeah, it's not mandated unless the township has those rules in place.
Sure, yeah.
It's just, again, these are ideas. I think on the back side, we kind of have like the 10 things that people can do to, limit their inputs to the lake. Some of
Yeah.
them are real easy.
Sure.
Other ones are more complicated.
Yeah. I think, though, it might be good I don't know, Paul, if you've got anything that you could maybe send that, on this new rule regarding the seawall
Yep.
replacement, because I think it'd be good for people to know that,
Yeah.
if they're going to replace their seawall, that
Yeah,
they're
so
going to
the
have to...
state actually has some material that might want to write that down. Jim.
Yeah,
That we
maybe
can
there's a
send
link
that.
you could share, and we could put it on the Wolverine Lake
Yeah.
website, because I
Yep.
think that'd be an important thing for people to know before they
Yes,
decide to
exactly,
make any
because
changes.
otherwise they're going to be surprised.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Okay. Well, good, okay. Well, I guess, I can follow up with Andy and Dave just to see about the catch basin cleanout issue, and I think that of the three, that seems like the most likely that we can do more broadly. I guess everything else would be on an individual basis if people were interested,
Right. Yep.
so,
Yep.
okay. Great. Any other comments or thoughts from the board on it? Okay,
All right.
thanks.
Want me to stay up here?
Well, you don't have to stay up here, but I will come back to you
Yeah,
when we
okay.
talk about the
Yep,
budget and
exactly.
thing.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, we'll put you at the top of that so you don't have to stay for the whole thing,
Yeah,
Paul
no problem.
and Jared. I noticed we did have another gentleman come in. Did you have a comment?
I did.
We did have the call to the public,
And I
but
apologize for being tardy.
is there any particular rule I have to go back to do call to the public? Is that
Gotta
an
open
official
it.
thing? No,
I think-
we're not
Pat?
that formal.
He has to open, call the public.
Oh, okay.
Just make a motion to
Okay,
open.
okay, well,
Or
I'll
ask
make
for
a,
some motion.
okay, could I make a motion to discuss the call to the public?
I move we reopen call to the public.
Second.
Okay, great.
Then just have a vote. Say all in favor?
Yeah,
All
you
in
got
favor,
to
yes.
vote on it.
Oh, yeah, all in favor, sorry, yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Could you please state your name and where you live, please?
Yes, I can. My name is Cody Horn. I live on 1004 Lakeview Drive on Wolverine Lake. And first and foremost, thank you very much for the motion to let me speak today. I appreciate you guys doing that. First and foremost, I just want to say I'm a conservationist. I enjoy the lake here, and I enjoy the fishing, and hearing some of the activities that we're doing here is fantastic, right? Unfortunately, this winter hasn't been great for ice fishing. Bought a new shanty, never got to use it. So, global warming, I guess, is something that we'll just all have to kind of deal with here in the future. The reason I'm coming to you guys today is, first and foremost, I had a question, and I wanted to understand the lake no-wake hours. I know they're controlled by the DNR, and the hours are 11 to 7:30. And I respect that, because as a fisherman, I like to get out early, do a little bit of fishing, not have to deal with the high-speed boats and that matter. But as a wake surfer and skier, I also enjoy doing those activities as well. And during COVID, it was nice because I was working from home and I had plenty of time to enjoy those activities. But now that we're going back to the office and life is now getting back to regular, it's hard to get out in the afternoon because I'm stuck in the office. So I really wanted to kind of understand, first and foremost, the no-wake hours and what dictates those. And then secondly, what it would have to take to maybe expand those hours or modification of those hours. That's it.
Well, I've lived in this community over 50 years, and it wasn't popular when it was put into place. But you'll never change it. People have tried over and over and over again.
But what would it take, Ed? I mean, just for his...
Well, you want
in
to
our-
take it, get a petition.
Okay.
Then you'd have to put it for vote.
Okay.
Well, the argument that I heard before was that if you open that door for the DNR, then they
Yeah,
take
the
over.
DNR.
They take over the regulation of your lake. So you can say, gosh, we'd like to have these wake hours changed, but they may not change them the way you'd like them to.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to take a look at your no-wake zones, and they're going to take a look at the rest of the lake regulations.
The- the-
And we don't run it anymore, they do.
So
As
it's
Paul
an
was saying, the
ordinance is what
DNR
it is. We can crack into it,
Okay.
legally.
Yeah.
But we don't want to crack into it because we have a lot of privileges here in Wolverine Lake that, like this board.
Yeah.
You don't see a board like this anywhere.
No. Yeah.
And we don't want to start messing with that. And so, absolutely every law in the lake likely won't be changed unless there's a really strong reason, like the state makes us, which when that happens, we have to follow their law. If something were to happen federally, of course. But no, we like those ordinances, not that they're perfect, but the fact that we have them, and so we're trying not to mess with them.
So it's like
We
kicking the
we
hornet's
even
nest.
tried at
Yeah.
one time just to
That
get
is
an
that is the
extra-
fear from people that are proper politicians that are around here, that have been around here for, well, like Ed and folks of his age that have said, look, let's not mess with them because
We
we could
appro-
accidentally hand what we have back to the state.
Okay.
We approached the DNR that Mondays and Fridays, those, just during the week, those 5 days, to get an extended half hour. They wouldn't even hear of it. And they don't patrol the lake, we patrol the lake. And you can ask the chief and the administrator, they were trying to move a buoy. And, oh, you can't do that, buoy's been there forever, oh. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and it's sad because, you got daylight till 9 o'clock and you see, 10 or 15 pontoons going around the lake and, and that's it in the lake. But We're stuck with it.
Yeah. So I noticed that in the ordinances, it also stated that you cannot be in tow, right? And technically surfing is not in tow. From a more of a,
It says it,
it just says it's in tow, right? But you're not being pulled by anything, you're being pushed by a wave. So I mean, technically speaking, it is a water sport, right? So I think it does cover that you can't surf. But is there any way we could change the language of that and not really have to mess with the wake hours?
unfortunately, that's all brought up and all set up by the DNR.
Okay.
And if we change it and something happens, who's liable?
What do you, forgive me, you lost me, you
Yeah.
want to surf while making no wake?
No. Surf, but it says in
So you want
tow.
to keep the no wake rule?
Yeah,
What
I
you were
would like to keep the
suggesting.
no
I
wake
understand
rule,
you're going to be
but-
making a
but-
wake during that time.
Yeah, but try to, well, it's actually no high-speed boating, right? Your boat can't be up on plane, but it also covers no in tow. So,
Yeah,
like, no
and you
tubing.
have to remember too that, I don't know where you live, but these wake boats, they are legally and totally responsible for any damage that they create with that wake.
Yeah.
You know, it's fine if you're in the middle of the lake, you're on Lake Erie or Lake Huron, but when you're on a narrow part of Wolverine Lake, well, a lot of people have come up to me and said, geez, our boat gets bounced around. I said, just get a number off the boat and go from there.
So what is the reason for the hours between 11 and 7:30?
The what?
The wake hours up between 11 and 7:30, or high-speed boating? Why, do we know why those are put into place?
I think those were originally set by the DNR.
Was it take it or leave it?
Yeah.
Really?
It's on several other lakes too. It's that same time period, so I think that's set in place by DNR.
So what is that supposed to control?
It's for multi-use lakes to try to, I mean, I'm not from the DNR, so
Yeah.
I might be mischaracterizing it, but it's to have like fishing hours versus high-speed boating hours.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, if you want to do all that surfing and high-speed boating and stuff, unfortunately, you're on the wrong lake.
Yeah.
Or you just do it within the hours of
Right.
operation, because I swim
Change
in the
jobs.
morning, so I'm very happy that there's no high-speed boating
Yeah.
in the mornings.
That's exactly what it's for, though. It's so that not everybody uses the lake for the same thing. And fisher folks would have nobody make a wake all day, and
Yeah.
those with wakeboarding would
Paddleboarding.
have the whole thing
Yeah.
be in all sports.
But
So-
what about, and we don't even want to
Now we
bring
split
up
it
the
up.
topic of bookending it, right? Add an hour to the start and
Right.
an hour to the end.
Yeah,
This
we're
is
not
just a
gonna crack.
standard DNR.
Yeah, I mean, I can only speak for one person on council myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I wouldn't vote to crack into that
Yeah.
after, because I've only been doing this for a decade, but I know enough history and talked to the people that have been here a long time. I understand why they say don't get into it.
Okay.
Because it's not just that you're going to be messing with, there's going to be every ordinance on there.
Every rule.
Every rule, thank you, every rule, forgive me.
That the DNR would want to crack into.
Yeah,
Okay,
in that
It's like you
ordinance.
open your book of business for them to take a look at everything.
okay.
Yeah.
So really, if I wanted to get any lakes behind it, I would have to get a lot of signatures within the village.
And then convince council.
Yeah, and then
Still have to
convince
get-
you
you have to
guys.
get- yeah.
Yeah,
right.
right.
Well, this is the water management board.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so city council.
It'd be, yep,
Okay.
second Wednesday of every month, right here, 7 o'clock.
Okay,
At that point, I think it'd be easier to just trailer your boat to a different lake
Yeah.
that doesn't have the.
Yeah.
I would consider that.
yeah, I don't know, I like the fact that I can walk out my back door.
Yeah,
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 I do.
no, we all hear you. Well,
Yeah.
So, okay, well, again, I thank you very much, and thank you for taking the time and recalling the call to the public.
And you're always
I appreciate
welcome, come back to this board meeting or council meetings anytime.
Okay.
And you can voice this on council meeting if you want to get it on record, you can.
it. I'll take you up on that.
Okay.
All right, thank you
Thanks,
very
Cody.
much.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Cody.
And this isn't typically a two-way conversation here, we're a little out of order right now. Normally, so if you do come to council, you'll notice that we shouldn't talk back to you. Some guys might, because they'll get fired up, but we're really not supposed to.
It's a little more formal.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
Not nothing to be intimidated by, just don't be offended if we don't speak our voice after you speak, because
No, no,
we're
no,
really
I-
not supposed to.
I appreciate the open conversation, right? I wanted to try to get an understanding of...
Now you know it's
Yeah.
not just people are anti-wake boats.
Yeah, no,
Anti-fisher
yeah.
people.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, all right, thanks, guys.
Thank
I
you, Cody.
appreciate it so
Thank you.
much.
Great. Okay.
Close the call to the public.
What's that, Ed?
I make a motion to close the
Oh,
call.
yes,
to the
motion to close the
Second.
call to the public. Okay, thanks, Ed.
And then you have a vote.
We got to vote.
Oh, yes, can we have a vote?
All in favor?
Let's go.
See, this is why I don't want to be the...
No,
I wanna be the
you're right
vice
there,
chair.
you're right there.
Okay.
Yeah, lots of help,
I got to remember
man.
that last
We'll
one.
Yeah.
move you right along here.
That's
That's
good.
right.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
That too, I forgot to write those notes down. All right, thanks, guys, appreciate it. Okay, administration report, current lake level, I checked today, and we are 11.6 inches below normal. You may have noticed that the lake water is rising, and
Yeah.
that's due to Mother Nature, which is a good thing for us, because that means we don't have to run the pumps, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's rose a lot.
Yeah, so, yeah, hopefully it will just keep creeping up slowly, and that will minimize our need for the pumps come later in the spring.
As a new guy, where are the pumps located? Like how, that was the first time I heard of pumps is when I read through,
Did someone point it
There's-
out, or on
Yeah.
the board? I believe
Okay,
it's on
that's-
Penny
yeah,
Lake
just
trying to
somewhere.
learn.
Yeah, I know there's one in the canal area.
let me
I
see.
don't know if that's, is that the one that broke? The one in the back end of the canal?
I don't
It was
know.
down for a while.
Yeah.
I think it fixed it last year. Okay, there.
And then on Penny Lake,
I thought there was one down there towards the, further down, yeah.
down in here.
Yeah. And then
So where do
isn't
they
there-
pump the water
Isn't
from?
there one?
The ground. It's
Oh, okay,
aqua
just go well, okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, that's where the other one was.
There was one on this canal here,
Oh,
but that's the one that they had I think a 10 or 12 inch pipe through
oh,
Services subdivision.
okay.
And we were going to use that, and it turned out that the well is fine, but the pump is shot, and
Okay.
a generator.
That's what I was
Thank
thinking
you.
of, yeah. He said,
Mucho
yeah, it's-
money.
It's well watered up.
All right, good to
Up in the
know.
lake.
Yeah, most of the wells are right around 100 feet deep.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Okay, next, noteworthy complaints to the village. I don't believe we have any. Has anyone had
I
any?
think we already got that.
Yep, okay. Very good. The next thing, the chairperson's report and general communications to the board. That would be the key date calendar review, and I believe that at last month's meeting, which I did not attend, there was discussion around the safety festival.
Yeah.
And so just my notes from Ryan, and certainly anyone who's been had a follow-up on this can let me know, but I believe there was a proposed date for May 20th or the 13th, but since the boater safety course is on the 13th, perhaps we should move that to the 20th. Is that where we left that?
Yep.
So do I make a motion to
Ask for a motion.
ask for a motion to,
I motion that we officialize that it's on the 20th. Would that be the way?
Am I assuming that's a Saturday?
Yeah.
Is that something we need to get in front of council?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we move to propose to
Or
council.
move to propose?
is that something that we need council to authorize?
I'm not sure. Ed, do we? I don't know either.
Well, here, I've done
Yeah, it's a Saturday.
3 of these over the years. The first biggest problem you have is you cannot close the access site to the lake,
Right.
no matter what. It's a DNR access site.
Yeah.
So if you're putting up stations like for fishing and boater safety, and a guy comes in with a 20-foot pontoon, and he's got to do this, there's nothing you can do about it. If the parking lot is full, and there's no room for anybody to park, then whatever they do, they have to go out.
Yeah.
Right.
What I wanted to suggest is, because it's for such a good cause, that if we got a hold of the DNR in advance and ask them, could we, what do we need, 3 hours for this, maybe? You're not talking...
Well, you got to set up and tear down, but I see what
Well,
you're
the
saying.
setting up and tearing down won't interfere with putting boats in
That's
the
true.
water. But I thought if we would plan ahead and approach them, what we're going to do, and say we'd like to have a closure from 2 to 4, 2 to 5, whatever time we want. Because most people, if they're going to put their boat on the lake to enjoy the day, they're in there in the morning.
Right.
And they come out in the evening. So I think if we went like from 12 to 3,
So you want Dave Gillum, Administrator Gillum, then, to
Yeah.
look into this probably. Is that what you're asking?
Right.
I don't know that we need to use a motion. We can just talk to him about that. I think, you said you have a list you're making right there. After the meeting, if you'd like, I'd be glad to look at it with you too, and then we can just take those things directly to
yeah,
Dave.
you'd have to find out if the DNR would even be receptive,
Right.
you know.
It would also be completely appropriate to do the way you said. We could motion, and then at council, we would then advise, or we would ask that directly, we would vote on it. We could have them look into it that way, but I think we can get things moving much faster this way.
Yeah.
And
You
two-
agree?
And if you notice the way that's set up, there's a fair amount of grass area in that area. So you kind of, you know, everybody wants to be, the kids want to be close to the lake, but there's no fishing down there.
Okay, right.
So
Right.
if we go over there by the grass and you're kind of off the pavement and off that, maybe in a couple places you have it, but you just advertise it and put a sign down there weeks before that, for whatever reason, this access will be closed from 12 to 3.
And I would say, talk to Dave about it.
Okay.
And then just mention that, hey, Ed's been doing this for 30 years plus now, so.
I'm going to be
he can
meeting with Dave in the next week. so
Yeah, so he can articulate it from Ed. You could just pass on that Ed would
Put it in the minutes, but I'll talk to him.
You'll talk to
explain,
him,
because he
okay.
knows how that, and I don't at all, but he knows how that event is run, all the nuts and bolts of it, and I don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
The event would still take place whether we close the ramp or not, correct?
Right.
So the motion that it takes
Yeah,
place
it's-
on the
it's just-
20th is still appropriate, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to do it anyway, so if we can get the DNR to say, yeah, for 3 hours, you know, maybe 11 to 2 or 12 to 3 or something like that. And we can set up, you know, like we had a boat there, and we had, you know, the seats in it and everything, and put the kids in it and showed them how they're supposed to be, and don't stand up and all that. And then, I don't know who, I had a kind of a fishing clinic and a fly fishing and all that stuff, so, you know, they can.
And
Okay.
it might even simply be a respectful conversation with the right person to tell them what we're doing, and odds are,
Yeah,
everybody
they're not
that
gonna
works at
frown on it.
DNR they're going to be thrilled that something like this is happening, and they're probably going to work right along with us.
And plus, the DNR gave us a lot of literature to pass out.
Good.
Oh,
Okay.
cool. Good.
A concern of mine would be if we're talking about closing, you know, you're talking about people getting on the lake early, would be like people trying to get off the lake
Well,
between that 12 and 3.
I live 3 houses from the access. And I mean, that's not a rule, but mostly the fishermen are out there by dawn or before,
Right.
and the old lady wants them home by 11 so they can do the yard work.
And I think,
And-
though, if it's well-marked, that they're
Yeah.
aware that that's going to be the situation, then
Yeah.
that's kind of on them, you know,
Right.
if they're willing to stay out till the reopens. And if not,
Right.
then
That is true.
they can
Yeah.
go somewhere else.
There's more than one ramp there as well.
Yeah.
So then, Ed, you'll follow up with Dave on that, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the date officially is?
May 20,
May
Saturday,
20th.
May 20th.
Yeah.
Did we need to vote for that?
May 20th?
Yeah, May 20th, yeah. So do we need
Okay.
to official,
Yeah.
make
All
a
right.
motion to have that on?
I move we plan, or we ask that May 20th be the date approved for our safety fair.
I second that. Vote.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, getting there slowly.
Close, yeah. I like that.
Yeah, almost there, man.
Should we make the time official then, too, right now? I feel like we should, especially because I did post on the Wolverine Lake group, and I plan to keep posting, and I did reach out to a couple companies, and one was interested in sponsoring like a bounce house.
Okay,
So-
okay. Yeah, and we're going to come up later on to more details of the stuff we want to include. The first thing was just to get it on the schedule, so.
Now, in
But-
the past, we had hot dogs
Okay.
there.
Okay.
And I don't think we charged for them.
Okay.
I think the pop was 50 cents a can, but, you know, if you charge a hot dog and a bottle of pop for $1, we're going to break even.
Right.
So I think, and I'm just trying to play devil's advocate on the lake. I would think that most fishermen would want to be off by noon on a Saturday. They go home, have lunch, do whatever they got to do, and by 3 o'clock, you start getting a lot of traffic on the lake, so fishermen aren't particularly crazy to go out there, and they start to filter back in at 5 or 6 and get the last 2-3 hours
Well,
of daylight.
I was thinking like 11 to 2. I think that...
11's too early.
Do you have that somewhere else on our agenda, though?
Pardon?
They were going to bring that up later in the agenda?
More so the
Nuts and
activities that
bolts
we're
of what
looking
we're
at,
doing.
yeah.
Okay.
This was really just to get the lock
That's
the
right.
date
So
in.
let's move on to the
Figuring noon
next
to three?
item.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You figuring
And then we'll
12
get
to
there.
3. That way, if you're going to have hot dogs there,
Yeah.
Mom, you can get at lunch down there at
Yeah,
the...
so I wanted to move to continuing business, but I would like to, I don't know if I have to make a motion to change the order. I'd like to talk about the website content so that Paul doesn't have to stay here for the rest of the meeting. Do I need to make a motion to change? the
Nah,
agenda?
go ahead.
No? Okay.
We'll let you slide this time.
Okay, thanks.
You're the boss.
You
You
guys.
got the gavel.
Yeah, right.
You do.
Yeah.
It's your meeting, 100%.
Oh, okay, great. But first, I wanted to check, because Ryan had mentioned that perhaps Melissa and Kyle were going to follow up on any breakthroughs in GIS data, if there was anything that you found that we might be able to.
Basically,
Make
long
that
story
map.
short, no luck.
No,
Yeah, the
okay.
person I reached out to that I thought could be helpful was not helpful either, so.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Well, that's good news for you, Paul.
Yeah. Or is it?
So I did see the proposal, and I did talk to Ryan about that, and one of the suggestions that he had, because is the proposal, yeah, you've got, oh, I got it. So currently, the estimated total for that would be $8,460.
Let you know that's kind of a worst-case scenario,
Okay,
wanting to not lose money on it. It is a time and material, so it
Yeah.
can definitely most likely be done less than that.
okay. Because one of the things we had talked about, and again, maybe you can help us out with this, so the third part, they're updating maps and maintenance. It's got 40 hours at $90. I mean, could we get by with 15 hours of that? I mean, do we have to do,
Probably. I mean, we do have a lot of mapping too that other people could do, not necessarily James. I think a lot of this was originally targeting James to do that work.
That's also how much content you guys want in.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the more content you want in it, the more time we're going to spend with that content.
Can I ask a favor? Would you mind getting on the
Yeah.
mic for a
Yep.
second? I've got
Sorry.
a, so, I'm back to this board. I haven't been on in several years, probably 6 years or so. So can you kind of, I'm probably about to vote to motion this somewhere, back to myself effectively, but I want to know if you can just kind of get me quickly caught up. I don't want to waste anyone's time as to what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so the idea was, that's something that Ryan had, he came to us. There's something called a story map, basically, or it's a
That kind of shows up.
interactive map that when folks go on the website, they can click on a certain element, it will give them some information. It's more than just a flat map, it's actually got information. That's really the definition of GIS. It's a database that's a
kind of like
three-dimensional
content in
database.
there?
Yeah, so this is basically like, this was one of the examples, so like you can click on the map and it can like show you different things, and I think the things that they were talking about last time were like different depths and things like that in parts of the lake, and then it would like show where like the boat launches and things like
Right.
that, so it's like things you can click on, more so to do with the lake, but it just shows, it's basically like a map with icons that you can click on instead of just, looking at. And then when you click on it, it'll tell like, it tells like a little bit of detail about what it is. So It's just more of an interactive map, is basically.
For instance, would you be able to do something like, put on, there's a legend that says, okay, I click on this and it shows me all the public access fishing.
Right,
If I
exactly.
go on the map and I want to know, hey, well, I can go over here. So, that kind of a thing.
Just a quick question. So, just to bring myself up to speed, I spent some time on the website. So, this map, would this be, like, I found, like, the water level data on the Wolverine page under the water board, like, is that where this map would be embedded?
I would want it closer to the home page.
Yeah, I think you want to have it fairly close.
Yeah, I want it
to
more
the
public
That's my next thing, like,
It's just buried.
I've been through this process with some other entities that I'm involved with, where we revamped websites and invested, a significant amount of money. And question that we came up with is, do we have numbers in terms of the type of traffic that we even get on that website? Like how many people actually click our website? Like if we're going to invest, I did some numbers just trying to be responsible, the amount that he said, the amount he allotted for our budget, and then what we would be allotting for is like 83% of our budget would be going to this project. And, you want to get an impact for what you're spending. So like if we've got a website where the traffic is minimal, you would have to question the value of doing it. Not questioning the value of the map once you're on it, but being responsible in terms of spending our funds appropriately. If we're going to invest this and we're not getting any website traffic, it kind of doesn't make any sense.
Well, past experience and a longtime council person, not many people even know this map exists in this village. And all you get is, I got weeds in front of my house. We're paying for all this. Why isn't it done? Why isn't it cleaned up? And I think, I look at these maps. Let me ask you one question. Typically, the areas that you're treating, are they pretty much the same each year?
So that's really the purpose of that particular map, is to show, it's called a progression map. And so those different colors are different years where, one side is where milfoil was treated, and the other side is where Stars Stonewort. Those are the two primary invasive plants in the lake. So in the case of milfoil, it is different areas every year. In the case of Stars Stonewort, a lot of it is the same areas, and the reason for that is you can use systemic herbicides for milfoil, which will have more of a long-term effect, and they don't have a systemic for starry. So you're basically, I wouldn't say mowing the lawn, but you're maintaining it.
Yeah.
It always comes back.
Yep.
And the other comment I want to make while we're talking about this real quick, and everybody has their own opinion. There are places that this lake, chemicals, the only thing that is going to accomplish anything. But I think a lot, now that we have a harvester, a good harvester, and we have enough people to work it, I'd like to see more harvesting done. You cut it and you haul it out of the lake. You kill it and it goes down to the bottom, and every time we use chemical, you're increasing the sediment at the bottom of the lake. Guaranteed.
Paul, any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's true in a general sense. Typically, we're targeting most of the treatments for early in the season when the plants aren't very high. So if you just let them grow all year, then they drop down, there's going to be more biomass there. But yeah, in some milfoil in particular, because of the nature of the plant, you can't really harvest it, or you're going to spread it around. It reproduces vegetatively, so parts of it cut off, they sink to the bottom, form a new plant. So it's really hard to control it by harvesting alone. But if we can get the milfoil, that's the reason we're using systemics, get the milfoil down to a low level, and then we're having to use less herbicides at that point.
So would you say we're using the minimal amount that's required to do the job at this point, or?
Yeah, I mean, that's subjective, what is, and everybody has a different opinion on that, but I mean, from a professional biologist opinion, we're doing that, yes.
And I was at the DPW today, and they only have there's only one person signed up for the Harvester, to drive the Harvester this year.
Oh, there
What's
is.
that?
Only one person to,
Now we're down to one again?
Who was that?
I'm trying to get in contact with the person because I wanted to talk to them about the May 20th
Okay,
date, so.
yeah, we'll come back to that then, okay.
But I agree with your statement in general, Ed, that is true, that harvesting is a better long-term solution, but it's not
If you can get a harvester
end all,
operating.
do all, yeah.
Years
Right, but
ago,
if we recall just for a moment, when we had the report at the end of last season for the amount of time that the harvester was used, it was pretty significant. I mean, that thing was out there quite a bit. I don't have the data. I'm sure Ryan would have that on his computer right now.
It's twice as many as year before.
Well, year before it was broken,
repair,
but yeah.
So
The sludge.
Wolverine Lake gets about, average about 550 visits a month.
Of the harvester?
No,
No,
just Wolverine
website, I was
Lake.
pulling it up too, so you got it.
Yeah.
Visits?
Doing a website
The
tracker.
Wolverine Lake
Oh,
traffic, just just Wolverine Lake website, so not even talking about any portion
Deep dives.
of water, just the Wolverine Lake website,
Main
just to get in.
page.
Yeah, the main page is about 550 a month. And it's pretty consistent, like 530 in March, the high was 565 in January. So,
Interesting to know what most people are, like, I know when we first moved here, we were on that thing looking for tiki night information, you know what I mean, like, seriously.
Yeah, oh, you bet.
Yeah.
oh, it's tonight.
Yeah, well, I knew it was in
Right.
June sometime, or July, but I'm just saying, like, it's something to look into when you're revamping a website, is to, kind of see if you're gonna we're targeting a certain population, we would like to use the map.
Yeah.
Are we able to access it? Like, that's the big thing.
It sounds like you have a lot of experience with websites and computers.
I'm in the Football Coaches Association, and we just revamped, we went from American Eagle to an entirely new platform, and it cost us a fortune, but it was the same thing before we did it. We really dove into how much traffic are we getting, what portions of the site are they visiting when they actually do go.
So where's our break-even point? I mean, how do you
Well, that's
determine that?
something we would have to discuss, as a board. Obviously, I agree 100%, even from the time, I was here last week, the stuff that they're putting on the map itself is great, as a resident, to know where the no-wake zones are, and, to know where things are being treated and where the access points are and all that. That would be great. It's not on there now. You can't argue that would be an advantage. But I'm just concerned, we got a limited budget, and we're putting a large portion of the budget into that one area. It just goes with anything. When you're doing the budget, you're trying to
money well
maximize.
spent.
You're trying to maximize what you're spending it on. To meet our main objective of the board.
Good point.
Well, I know, Paul, I'm not sure you mentioned this number. Probably there is room to negotiate on that. I don't know how much that might be.
Yeah, I think part of it is driven by the amount of information that you put on it. I think the idea that Ryan talked about was having enough to create a beta test model of the interactive map and then kind of going from there. So to get to that level, you probably, I'm guessing, around $5,000 to do that. And then depending on how much more information you want on there, just the time to put it on there.
Would this
Setting
be
up the original
Chairman,
thing is.
Would this
that's
be
the
an
heavy
annual
lift.
cost, or is this just a one-time setup, or the hourly wouldn't change because the updates would be
Right.
ongoing, right?
Right.
But so every year we wouldn't be coming back and spending that large portion of our
No,
budget.
I would
Would you be
I
able to
would
give
guess
us?
it would be kind of on the amount of information that you guys want to add after this beta test is put together, and then.
What's the maintenance on this?
That's where I'm going.
So the website, I don't know the platform that the village uses, but there's a domain license, and then there's the maintenance of operating the website manager, so to speak. So that's something the village is already paying. Are you talking about for us to add
Correct.
stuff? That would, just be on an hourly basis.
So
there's not an ongoing
That's
fee
something
for
that could
this?
be budgeted each year depending on how much you wanted to add.
So just for example, like the second line item here, it says to create the interactive map. You wouldn't have to create it every year, would you? You just have to
No,
update.
right.
So like we could count on like that
It would,
2160.
it's not going to be $8,400 every year.
Right, so like you could, the 2160 is basically a one-time like setup thing. Is data collection, now that would only be if we decided to add something more to it.
Right.
So if we came up with like 5 items on the map, we would pay that $2,700 for you to collect the data to put it on the first time, but then going forward, if we didn't add anything else, there would be no more data to collect, or would there be a...
There might be some updating.
Okay.
Yes, things like that.
But you're not looking at like an initial $2,700 cost every year. It would be just to update what we currently
Yeah, I mean,
have on there.
typically, like, we manage websites for other clients, and it's generally about $4,000 to set it up,
Look at last year.
and then, $2,000 a year to kind of maintain it.
Do you have any, like, what other ones are you currently maintaining? Like that we
Well,
that we could
they're
like, take a look
different
at?
than what is being proposed, because they're not interactive maps.
Okay.
But, yeah, we work with, in Oakland County, Lake Oakland, so it's lakeoaklandboard.org is one of them.
So it'll have like the information we're talking about, but not on an interactive
Yeah,
basis?
it'll be like a normal website. It'll
Okay.
have, the tabs. I think they have like 5 or 6 tabs. There's typically a water quality, news and info, plant control, things like that.
So, we're, if you look at the screen, what is
Yep,
it that...
that's one of them right there.
There it is.
Yep.
So what is it that you guys do for this?
So we set it up originally, and then we add information as it, like when they have a board meeting, we put the minutes in the financial report. We put all the dates for their meetings. When there's plant control activity, we put the maps up there. We put the dates of treatments, things like that.
Because like it's been my experience, like when we've launched websites or revamped them before, usually the upfront cost for the first time is pretty extensive, but then you just pay like a maintenance fee going
Right.
forward, and you can budget, like, that
Yeah.
doesn't typically change, you know what I mean? So
Right.
like we're up front here, we get that down to, roughly 5,000, you were saying like the best case scenario, that would be what we would have to expect the first time going into the launch it, and then going forward, the maintenance of the site, the updating the data, I would have to assume it would be significantly
Oh, yeah, less, yeah.
See, it'd be helpful if we could get an idea of what we would be looking at going forward.
Well, I think you said earlier $2,000 a year.
Yeah, roughly 2,000. It's a little different with a story map. I don't know, James isn't here. He's the guy that done that mostly, but I don't think it's highly involved. It's just a matter of acquiring the data. But it might be more complex than just uploading things to a website. Like we use Wix.com, and it's pretty easy, pretty interactive to do that, but I'm not sure about the story map.
So is this a story map? Is that what this example
No, you
is?
said that wasn't. You said this, you don't do a story map with...
No, these don't have a story map. They're just more of a normal format websites.
Yeah, it looks like, I would assume this is your stuff. Is this what you've all put on then?
Yep. So
Okay.
all those maps, a lot of them are ones we've created. Some of them are from, like USGS, or they're available
I
online.
see your label down there.
So, okay.
And the yearly maintenance isn't necessarily, it's gonna be $2,000 a year. That's just if you have an idea to incorporate, once it's up there on the website, interactive map. It's just if you wanna add something to it, then we have to collect data, alter it. And
Yeah.
I'm sure James can give an hourly cost at that time, but it's not like every year you're gonna be held to this maintenance fee. It's just.
Yeah, because there might be
only-
some years we don't need to put
Yeah.
anything up there. So.
Yeah, then
So-
it'd be no cost. It's just if you wanna add something.
Okay, so if there's, let's say, no changes next year, it would be no cost at all.
Right. So what I would suggest is that you have, like, I don't know what month of the year you do your budget projections or whatever, but if kind of have a plan at that point we want to add X, Y, Z to the story map, and then we can give you an estimate at that point of what it would take to do that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
What you might want to consider doing is if somebody's interested in this agreement, if you can get a motion in a second, and then you can have a conversation and then vote on it. So if somebody wants to make a motion,
So the motion to move forward with this, or just?
I'm saying we can discuss it like this all we want, but that doesn't take us forward. Ultimately, we need to make a decision on this, right?
Okay.
So, does anybody want to make a motion to accept this offer? That's really ultimately we have to find out.
Well,
Are we on board?
I would kind of like to have Ryan in on the decision as well, only because this is his whole project. He's the
Yep.
one who sort of started this whole thing. So, I mean, I hate to push it off another month.
No, we can't.
But
It's fine.
I would like him to weigh in on this, because this was...
Yeah, I kind of thought he was going to be here too.
His idea,
Yeah.
right, yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
I hate to make a decision without his input on this, because,
No.
this is sort of his baby.
Yeah, the original conversations that we had over Zoom was with Ryan.
Oh, I understand now.
And James
Yeah.
from our
Okay,
office.
Yeah.
I get it.
So do we have to make a motion to
Just table it.
Just table it.
table it? Okay, then we'll table it till next month.
So, just to highlight what he did say, he did propose a motion to hire Progressive AE for the website. I know he did say that in his email, and I do have it up on the screen. So,
He asked that the motion be...
he did write that in his email to...
Who's he, first of all?
Oh, I'm sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, propose a motion to make Progressive a website.
I don't know if you still want to wait another month. It sounded like from the email, he did sound like he was,
Oh, yeah,
interested.
propose a motion to hire, but only include 15 hours a map at the...
Yeah, to bring the total down to 6210.
Oh, I see. So on the third line item, that's what he's
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. But I'm wondering, just in our discussion, Paul, I mean, is there room to further?
Yeah, I
lower
think
that?
there is. I think we can have, like I said, have enough there to have a beta test where people can try it out.
Okay.
And then if people want more on there, then we can
We
go
can
from
order the
there.
pie now and maybe a la mode later, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
You want to make a motion?
I move that we support Progressive to create the interactive map for no more than $6,210.
And we can edit this, give you another copy with the changes on it.
Okay.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Anyone opposed?
Nay.
Okay. For the record, Jim?
Are we supposed to?
This is definitely going to be a roll call.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh.
This is
Oh, yeah.
probably gonna be a roll call.
Well, you tried.
Do you mind if I read that motion back to make sure I captured everything?
Please. Sure.
Motion by Snyder, was that seconded by Jankowski to hire Progressive A&E to create the story map in an amount not to exceed $6,200.
And $10.
Was that the number?
Yep.
6,010?
No, $6,210.
Okay.
I want a cheap amount of the $10.
Of course.
And then, was there anyone that wanted to have further discussion before we vote?
My only concern was, I'm concerned with the amount of traffic for the amount of money we're spending.
After looking at the map, or the traffic, and thinking about how you were saying 83%
of the $7,500 budget we've been presented with would be going, that's if we settle at the 6210. That one line item of our entire budget encompasses 83% of what our budget is for website traffic of 500 and some people that we don't even know what they're looking at.
They might not even be...
I suspect that not many of that 533 are actually clicking on the water board tab. I have a feeling it's more, like I said, the community activities and...
Yeah, because,
Good point.
it really, I feel like that would limit us in any other future ideas. You know, if, you know, when does our budget renew?
I don't
Is
know.
it-
I don't know. Do you know, Paul? I thought it was fiscal year, isn't it?
Yes.
So, next January.
No.
June or
no,
July?
Oh, June or
no,
July.
not-
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
June or July,
Yeah.
whatever. James makes a good point.
Well, part of the thing is that, yeah, it hadn't been official, but I had a couple of conversations with other council members, Brian Nedrow, and he thought this would not just be a map that is good for the community, which he thinks it would be, but the other boards that need to look at information. The idea developed from us wanting to have something up here, so when we're talking about something, talking about wells, talking about pumps, we bring the map up and say, okay, that's where we're talking about. These are the roads that are going to give us problems with this, and that sort of thing. And with that kind of a map, all the other committees that are supported by the council would get use out of it. So, in my head, it was more of a tool for the boards and the councils to be able to use to be more effective in how it deliberates different decisions.
Yeah, this
we have to
committee
make.
should not have to bear the cost.
Right.
I was gonna say,
I'm
can
thinking
other committees
we could
approve
share the
some of
cost with the council if we can. And I mean, maybe we could couch it that way so that in our motion, we request that the council consider a shared expense, since it's going to be utilized by all the committees and councils, for this interactive map. I mean, we're the tip of the
That might
spear.
not be a bad idea for some of us to
No, and
come
that's
to the
very
next council
reasonable
meeting.
as well.
Well, and
Okay.
the other question is, since, you know, there will be, you know, other councils will want possibly more information, so
Yeah.
we're looking at possibly a larger bill too.
Sure.
Because
That's when we get the Alamo mode. That's when.
You don't need a map from every committee.
No, but
No.
somebody like Parks and Rec may want a different kind of a map.
or
Or have
I
different
think probably the same map, just other
Or
added items.
other information overlays,
Right.
right.
Layered.
Sure.
Right.
Okay, so let me reword the motion. I move that we request the board consider, or the council consider, sharing the cost of the $6,210 to create the story map for the website.
Second.
You're a man.
Do we need to,
Have discussion now.
pardon?
Now have discussion.
Any more talking about this?
Now call for the vote.
Say no more discussion?
Okay, no more discussion. Do we have to have a
think we have roll call.
Roll call, yeah.
Anytime money.
Singlewitz?
Yes.
Sparks,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Jankowski,
Yes.
Dumont,
Yes.
Jennings,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Harris.
That's a good
Yes.
idea. Thank you.
Cool.
Good. All right.
All right.
So I'll send you and Ryan an edited version?
Yes,
With the
please.
correct amount.
Yeah, that would be great.
And the
Thanks.
bill.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. I think that's everything we
Yeah.
had
Thanks,
for
Paul.
you and Jared, so we appreciate you guys coming and
Wait a
sticking
minute.
around this long.
But we also.
What was laid out?
Oh, Paul,
Yeah, yeah, we
I'm
need
sorry, one other
more.
thing.
Weed control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regarding the canal, so based on the fact that we had a mild winter, I mean, the hope is that we're going to be doing what we did last year, because we had good success last year with the
We're already
timing.
planning that for late April because of the copper restrictions.
Yeah,
in
you got
Maine.
that window.
Application.
Yeah.
Okay, so
We
that's,
stopped
the
by
algae
there
down.
the day before the meeting, and there's no algae right now.
so there'll be a late April
Yeah.
application.
Once it starts warming up.
Yep.
And because we did have a rather mild winter, do you have to like supercharge it, or, I mean, because
Well,
I think you had mentioned at one time
We
that
might want to expand the areas a little bit, not significantly, but yeah, maybe look at more of the problem areas.
Okay. Paul, was that the question, was that what you were
Yeah.
inquiring about?
Yep.
I don't know, did you have the survey scheduled yet?
Yeah, early May, I think the first week actually.
Think so. I
because
think that
of
was
mild
just
winter, I'll
making
be
sure.
conducting my first survey. But the algae treatment will be before that in April.
Okay.
And then I'll come out early May to inspect that, and then also start doing my plant surveys.
Okay. And just for the newer members too, when the gentlemen come out to do the survey, you're more than welcome. Any of us are welcome to go with them just to see what they do, which is kind of fun. I went last year. It was interesting to...
Count me in.
Yeah. So yeah, just let us know when that's going to be, and usually they just meet you at the boat launch out here, and you can go for a nice ride.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Paul will bring the beer. Yeah.
Root beer.
Yeah, right, exactly. All right, thanks, Jared and Paul, appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, all right. So let's move on to the safety festival. I know there were some things that were discussed at the last meeting, according to Ryan.
Yep.
Let's see. So the boater safety course. So Ryan was going to reach out to Chief Ellsworth about some sort of hosting a knot tying class for folks. Melissa, I believe you were going to look into helping out or thinking about helping with the boat wash. Is that right? So you'll be in charge of that. Was this already decided at the last
Yeah.
meeting? It
Yeah.
was? Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. And Grant, I think you wanted to talk, you had something about the harvester as well?
Yeah, so we do a harvester familiarization. People can see what the harvester is all about. So yeah, with only one person, I have to get in contact with the person. There's some retired harvesters also around that we could also recruit that know the machine as well.
Okay, and I'm an Eric, not Grant. I mean to call you by your last name. Sorry about that. Kyle, kids education, I think, activities, is that correct? You're
Yeah,
looking
actually,
into that?
I reached out to a couple companies and possibly they might sponsor like a bounce house, so to like bring families.
Oh,
and,
yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so, I told them they could set up a table, and I talked about like the knot tying and things like that, or kind of talked about some things that they could do, and they said that they would. And then when we get closer to figure out like how much traffic, they were saying like they could possibly do a bounce house or a slide or possibly both, and then also we need to kind of talk about like space limitations too. How much space we have.
Well, I think Ed's going to follow up to see about the closing down the launch for a while to see if we'll have.
Yeah, the other thing that, when we did the other ones were quite successful, we went out into the parking lot and put lengths, and each kid could bring his fishing rod and put a sinker on it and see who could cast the farthest.
I was going to say,
So there'd be a fishing reel and then a minnow bucket or something, first and second prize.
Yeah.
That would be simple. I could put that together. I have a bunch of literature that we could duplicate that shows how to tie knots. And basically, there's 4 or 5 knots that you need to know on a boat, and after that, you're good.
Yeah. So I think Brian's going to follow up on that, right, with Chief Ellsworth.
For what?
For the knot tying.
Oh, yeah.
So Kyle, just back to yours, so the bounce house and the slide and those things, is there a cost for us associated with that? You said you were going to get someone to
He's
sponsor
working
it.
on a donation.
No, they said they would sponsor it.
Who's they?
Genco Cabinets.
What is it?
Genco Cabinets.
J-E-N-Co?
Yes, Jenco.
We'll take it. I like it.
They said-
Home improvement group?
Yeah, it's a kitchen remodel.
Okay.
Good. They said they would sponsor it, and they would just have like a table set up.
Okay.
Now, I didn't mean to horn in on that, because I thought part of my charge from last time was to talk to the bait shop, which I did, and Ken at the bait shop kind of came, I said, I don't know what we could do, but I said, maybe a casting thing? Sure. So the bait shop's all in. If you want to talk to them, I'll send you their email. But he said, yeah, let me know what you want me to do.
Would that cost us anything?
He didn't say it would. but-
He hasn't in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll have like
So,
You know, some lures and stuff.
So we have $1,000 budgeted for the safety festival, which we probably won't need to spend that much, but Ryan did mention, I'm sorry if I'm telling you things he mentioned at the last meeting, but he did confirm that if we have to buy anything like hot dogs, to buy it ourselves, we can get reimbursed by the village. Right?
All right.
Yeah, that's not a
Not by
problem.
me.
No, I
Don't look
know.
at me.
Well, I just want to make sure that that's true before we all go spending money and we are out of luck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, just to keep in mind, if the DNR access poops out for some reason, we've had one in the park that turned out very nice.
Okay.
We had targets over there.
Over where they have the
Claire
corn roast,
Under there,
Claire Mill.
just like the corn roast, only lower key, not as many people. So,
Now,
but I don't see it.
How many people has there been in the past? Just because Janko Cabinets was asking me as far as like, he's like, would it just be enough for like a bounce house? Is it a small amount, or like would we want like a
Weather
bounce
would
house
be a
and
big
a slide?
yeah, weather would be a factor in there.
Yeah, that's true too. Because like if it rains, then
Yeah, it's a dead issue. I would
Is there
say,
enough space over there for a bounce house and a slide?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Is that-
On
I
that
would
lawn
think so.
strip
They don't
going
take
up?
The lawn?
we put them in a gym. What's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Just if we had enough space for both a bounce house and a
Yeah, I would
slide.
say.
Yeah, I
so.
would think.
well, and he was just telling me, you know, if we had a lot of people, you know, he wouldn't mind having two.
Having what?
If we had a lot of people, we'd like one bounce house and like one slide.
Okay.
The only
Everybody
thing,
something to do.
again, past experience, whether it's worth anything or not, the bounce house, so many kids go in, then some gotta come out, some go in. You gotta slide. Constantly moving. Everybody gets to go down a slide.
Yeah.
They don't have to wait.
Oh, you're saying slides easier?
Well, slides, yeah.
Yeah.
Less
right.
confusion, you know, well, how come I can't go in there, Mom, when there's too many kids in there now?
Right.
And, you know, some kids, they get in there, they don't want to get out, so those are things you have to consider.
Is there any liability for this kind of a thing that we
Sure
have to be
is.
concerned about?
I
would think.
I talked to, when I was talking to Janko Cabinets, he was saying that typically the rental company
Yeah.
holds the liability.
Yeah.
So I don't think we would have any issues.
The village automatically has a blanket for anything like that, just like at the
Like
park, if
sponsors
somebody
and
gets
stuff.
hurt, you know, they're covered for that.
Okay.
But I, just real quick, I'm gonna say if we had more than 300 to 500 people, but it was not all the time, coming in, looking at, walking around.
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
So- And what,
So we're only like 2 months away, so
Right.
yeah, we kind of got to start thinking about this and getting a move on it. So I guess
let me ask you a question. Why did we pick May?
I don't know. I wasn't at the last meeting.
I wasn't
think
either.
because they were trying to do it around the voter safety class, right? Was it?
Well,
Right.
actually, was it?
Ryan talked about wanted it a little bit earlier in the year, just because. And is there another boater safety after the 13th? Isn't there one in July?
Well, we have one here in the village. That's so a kid can get a permit
Right.
to use the boat.
That's one on the 13th, but is it
Yeah.
gonna, I don't,
But, you
Was there
know,
we
another
had two
one later?
last year.
Yeah.
when you
wasn't there
do,
another
when
one?
you go into June or July, the kids aren't in the school.
And you have a better chance of warmer weather too, right?
Yeah. But if the kids aren't in school, they're not gonna be hanging around the house, they're gonna be somewhere else.
Well, they live on the lake.
That's true.
What do you want to go up north for? You live on a lake.
That's true.
Get back out in the lake and
So do we want to look at a different date for this?
I don't remember why we chose earlier.
We talked about it, and I'm trying to remember. I think it was because, I think we said we were going to do it, Ryan wanted to do it earlier because people were starting taking vacations and things like that in
Starting to do
June,
what?
and that's
Yeah.
when
Once the kids
people
are
really
at school,
started
they go on
going
vacation.
out of town.
Right.
Yeah.
And people are still in town at the end of
Yeah,
May.
I think that was the primary reason.
And if you're doing something like that in May, you're likely to have less competition with other people doing stuff.
Right. Less stuff going on.
Yeah.
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 All right, well, we'll just go ahead and keep it.
Okay.
So,
I got one more thing about you talked about food. I didn't realize we gave hot dogs for free before. I talked with, just a short conversation with Kaya. They have a food truck. So, but I don't know that we'd want to be able to foot the bill for giving that food out. I thought we might have some place where people would buy stuff.
Food truck starts to get expensive.
Oh, they do. They are. They're not cheap, but I mean, if they understood the venue.
Couldn't you just have it like a cash thing that we don't sponsor that part? It's just something.
We could. I mean, they could come here and we could ask them to discount the food or something, but if the expectation is that, people come and get free hot dogs and pop, then it might be a different, or a minimal charge.
$1 or $1 or
Yeah.
something, and we
Might-
subsidize it.
Yeah, well, I was thinking it might be more appropriate for a fundraiser for like the J.C.'s or something like that, some group that typically does this at other venues, but just wanted to get a sense of the feeling. If we can get a Kaya food truck, would we want that? Figured it's a local business.
I agree with the local business, but just for a 3-hour window, I don't really
I
feel like
agree.
it's a big meal.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, hot dogs and pop, I think that's kind of
Yeah,
fun.
Me
Plus,
too.
it's more like
Hot dogs, chips, and pop. And
The only other thing
Yeah.
is, I do know the owner of Detroit Mini Donut, and they have a food truck. That would be something that I think would be, because it's more of a
Delicious.
snack food.
What's that?
Yeah.
Mini donut.
Detroit Mini Donut?
Yeah.
Okay. Do they have hot dogs too?
No.
Well, the hell with the hot dogs, just bring the mini donuts.
Cinnamon sugar, yeah.
I see, yeah. Get the kids amped up on about, yeah.
I mean, I could talk to her. I mean, I just don't think a meal.
Yeah, they're not coming to this event for
okay, well, we got to kind of get moving on this. I mean, maybe you could just check to see, just let us
And
know.
we got time to
But-
decide what we're gonna.
Yeah, and then we have to figure out, roughly how many we think are going to show up. You said 300 to 500, so we need like 500 hot dogs. Do we really need
I won't
that?
I won't make commitments, I'll just take a look at what else is out there.
Just
We can do the
remember
Detroit Donuts and all.
our connection over here with Penny Lake.
Oh, yeah,
You only pay for what you use.
okay.
Oh,
It's all consignment
Yeah,
stuff.
we're hooked up with them.
yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
but okay.
I've used them in the past.
Oh.
They've been doing stuff for us for 15, 20
Okay.
years.
Okay.
All right.
Oh.
So, again, any action items, just folks are going to follow up on the things that you're going to check with the bounce house and the slide, and, well, you already have, but,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
we need to lock that in.
Yeah, it's pretty much a done deal.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And Paul, for food, you're going to,
Well, if you're gonna talk to, what's it called, Detroit Donut?
Detroit Mini Donut.
Detroit Mini Donut.
Yeah, if you could
Let
just
me
get
know,
with-
yeah,
yeah, let
why don't we
Paul-
stay in touch?
Yeah.
I'll look at the hot dog angle too and figure something out.
okay. All right, we'll go ahead and move along since we're running a little late here. So, the next item on continuing business is a plant control on invasive species. I think we're good.
Yep.
Paul talked to us about the algae for the control that they'll be doing in April, and a little extra because of the weather this year. The harvester discussion, Eric, and you were talking a little bit about that. We've only got-
I met with DPW today on it, and it's ready to go. They did a lot of repainting of little things here and there, but all the winter maintenance is complete on it, and it's ready to go.
Nothing major.
Good.
No, it held up well. It's 10 years old now, and but yeah, it's holding its age well. The paint. We talked about repainting it, but paint's very expensive. It's a special non-corrosive paint. It's
Yeah.
$2.50 a bucket of paint for
Wow.
a gallon of paint. So you can't, don't really want to paint the entire thing.
200?
250 because it
Wow.
has.
And linoleum would probably be just as good.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
Well, like a
ready to
spray
go.
can. And you said we've only got one driver, is it?
Only one driver, yeah. Yeah, he lives over on the island right now, and I'll get in touch with him, try to see if he'll.
Because wasn't the police officer, wasn't
Yeah,
he driving?
Grunwald's trained, but I don't know if he's. I don't think that he's participating.
He doesn't, I don't think he wants to be counted as.
Right.
But he will help out
Oh, okay.
Oh, he will?
periodically.
Okay.
All right.
Do we know that for sure?
Yeah, that's what he's done in the past. I can't I haven't talked
How
with
do we,
him.
how do we get in touch with him? Just
Get a hold of the administrator and have him do that.
Dave?
That's
Dave.
his job.
I can send them a text if you want.
You'll follow, thank you, yeah, okay. So, yeah, just let him know the situation, that we've got one, but we may need a backup plan. I can't wait to retire, I'm gonna do that. 5
Neat
years
job, huh?
time, yeah. Okay, Lakeshore maintenance, I don't know if there's anything we really need to discuss here, because it's erosion cleanup and debris removal, we're a little early for that. Lake enforcement issues, obviously that's really not an issue for right now. And the Water Management Board goals and objectives, I think we can continue to table that because I don't believe we have anything at this time. We discussed the website content. Oh, yes, the boat cover recycling program. So that's something that I've been working on. So my suggestion, and I think Ryan may have mentioned it last week, I would like to make a motion to approve us to purchase 50 of the recycling bags at $7 each for a total of $350 to use for the recycling program.
Okay, you put boat covers in the bags?
So what you do, yeah, so the boat covers, you have to remove the straps because those aren't recyclable, but you have to gill them, and we will look to have a spot where we'll have 2 days where people can bring the bags, and there'll be pickup from the
Are you talking
organization.
about the plastic?
The shrink wrap?
The shrink wrap.
Yeah.
Oh, the shrink wrap.
Oh,
Yeah.
not the, I was gonna say, how many
Yeah,
people have
not the
covers? that
canopy.
go out?
Oh, sorry, the shrink wrap.
Like, mine's
Shrink wrap
fine. I'm like,
recycling.
when do I gotta get a new?
Yeah.
Okay, shrink wrap.
So it's shrink wrap recycling. There's an organization that is doing this, and I wanted to see if we could get that done here at the lake, and sort of to get people interested to give the bags out for free. And David said we could have residents pick up the bags here, and then there would be 2 dates, 2 Saturday afternoon, or whatever, Saturday, or whatever day we decide, where people could come and bring their recycling. That way, the things aren't sitting around here for a long time. The organization will come up and pick them up at the end of that day or the following day.
The key is timing.
Yeah.
Not everybody puts their boat in at the same time.
Right.
You have boats in the water and people skiing in April.
Yeah, but isn't it just like one bag or 2 boats per bag or something like that, or like?
It's typically one bag per boat. I think up to like a 22-footer can fit in one bag.
So I mean, it's just 50 boats if you think about it. You know, there's a lot more. What was the boat? Didn't you guys do a boat count last year?
We did, I'll have to take a look at that. Well, the thing is, we didn't know how many people would actually participate, so we didn't want to overshoot on the bags. Although if we did, if we were to get 100, we could use it for the following year. I
Right.
mean, that's an option as well.
But the other thought is, I mean, do we have the space to store them? Is that an issue?
The bags?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
What's that?
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I said, do we have, like, if we ordered 100 bags and let's say we only use 50, do we have a spot that we can store them for a year? Because you mentioned,
The garage is pretty packed.
so
This,
I feel like we should stick to the 50.
I'd say get 50, and then if people complain that we ran out of bags, well, then we've generated interest in the program, and
Right.
Yeah.
they'll be looking for the bags in the future, so.
Right.
Yeah, and I thought there were a couple ways we could advertise it. First of all, obviously,
We don't
on
have
the
enough
website.
bags, the garbage man will take it.
So we could advertise it, obviously, on the website and then on the electronic screen here. And then I was thinking that maybe with the help of any of you, we could go around the neighborhood and see where the people actually have boats that are shrink wrapped, and we could put like a little paper,
Flyer or something.
flyer in the mailbox, in their mailbox, if that's something you guys.
Yeah.
Sounds like a
You
boat.
gotta put it in the flag.
That's what I meant. The flag,
Yeah,
not in
yeah.
the mailbox, because I think that's
Federal
It's against the law.
Pardon?
Federal offense.
Ooh, yes. Okay, the flag. Let's do the
It'd be a
flag.
hard time for something like that.
Yeah.
Most people won't care, but,
But I don't want to go to jail. Okay,
Yeah.
and nor does anyone here, I'm sure. So can then I make a motion to approve the water board to pay for 50 bags at $7 each for a total of $350?
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor? To Go ahead.
I did it. You're gonna be a roll call?
You're going to need a roll call.
Yeah.
Anytime you spend money.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Sinkwitz,
No.
Sparks,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Jankowski.
Yes.
Dumont.
Yes.
Jennings.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so the next thing was the additional agenda item being the sewer SAD, Paul?
Yes. I did talk, and I thought I'd talked to Ryan about it before, but I had a conversation before with David about having a rolling list of people that wanted to be part of the sewer set. And apparently they already got that going in the administrative office upstairs. So I talked to David, and I'm going to put together a note that they can put either an email blast or on the website or both, encouraging people if, you know, I think a lot of people get caught by surprise. They want to put an addition on their house and they don't realize that more than 100 feet is going to cost them a new, you know, they're going to have to hook up to sanitary sewer and that sort of thing. And if they've got an aged septic system, you know, that's another issue that they want to look at. So we'll be advertising, and it sounds like the administration is willing to continue keeping a rolling list, and I suspect when they get to the right number, they'll go to the council and say, hey, we need to, you know, we got enough people, let's do this. So it's in the works, it's happening.
Okay. Very good. Any comments, questions for Paul? Okay, future business items. Open discussion, anyone?
Nothing.
All right, liaison reports. Village Council. Thinking finally.
I'm not doing anything at council level right now. We talked about chickens the last
That's right. Again?
meeting. It came back up. So
Talked about chickens.
having chickens in Wolverine Lake for as small farms basically, to harvest eggs. And,
Egg prices went up.
Really?
egg prices went up. Yes.
Where did this, where was the genesis of this idea?
Is it more than one
It
person?
comes up. It tends to be one or two households that are interested in having chickens. So there'll be more discussion on that.
They're not on the waterfront, are they? The chicken
No.
people?
No.
They're in the neighborhood.
Yeah. And I don't know where they
That'd
live.
be hard.
They've come to they came to the meeting, I think it was just before COVID, and asked, and it's, you know, it gets a lot of people concerned. We don't allow them right now in the village, of course, so there's concerns with, well, whether they're accurate or not, I don't know. I'm not no chicken expert, but the concerns are the additional rodents and things that can come in.
Definitely.
Whether it's perceived or real, it's when we brought it up before, people come in, they have opinions about it, they're pretty strong, so.
I know Commerce Township allows them, and everybody that sits around them is,
Yeah.
depends which way the wind is blowing in the summer.
I suspect it won't be very popular,
Yeah.
but we are gonna look
And the
into
rodents.
seeing what we can legally do, and that's what we decided at the last meeting was, what can we do legally, what will be required, I should say, for us to do legally in order to allow
If they're
chickens?
going against
And then
ordinance, I
is
would
that
think they'd be
reasonable will be
illegal.
ultimately what
Right.
we decide.
Well, they'd come to the planning commission before with that.
Yeah.
And we declined to suggest their,
And Brian Nedrow brought that up as well.
yeah. And right now, with bird flu being the reason we're paying more for eggs to begin with, I'm not sure we want to introduce that to
That's
them.
the reason we didn't do the Cuse Roundup last year.
Yeah, so you introduce those to the waterfowl, that'll be a trifecta for us.
This point, right?
Keep an eye on the council agenda, and if you see it on there, feel free to come in and get on the mic.
You betcha.
Anything else? Okay.
Thank you, though.
You're welcome. Planning Commission.
Well, it might be a surprise to you that we did not have a meeting last month. But we are having a meeting this month, so I could read you the stuff they sent me for that. Probably, I'll wait till then.
Yeah. We'll wait, that was bated breath. Any comments from the board members?
You did good.
Nice job.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you, you're way too kind. Jeez.
Second that.
Right.
All right, so
Ryan's
then
in jeopardy
may I
now.
make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.